Good morning, people. This is Tuesday's devotion. I hope you had a fantastic Easter weekend. We certainly did here at the church. It was just great to see people being able to come back to church again and enjoy fellowship once again with one another. So it was a fantastic weekend. But I think one of the greatest things about this weekend is all that Easter stands for. Kind of so fits beautifully with what we're talking about at the moment. We've been doing a study through the Lord's Prayer, and strangely, without even planning it, we're on that phrase, Father, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Isn't that what Easter is all about? Forgive us our trespasses. This is a community thing. And as much as individuals, we need forgiveness of our sin, we're part of a team. We're part of the human race. Every one of us is in need of forgiveness. So forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who sin or trespass against us. The wonder of Easter, the death of Christ, the resurrection of Christ to the glory of a new life. I find it incredibly wonderful to know that forgiveness is available to every single one of us. You know, the foundation of our spiritual reality is found in forgiveness. The foundation of emotional wellness is also found in that. The degree or the depth of your sin is actually not that important, because sin is sin, and there's no such thing as big sin and little sin. Sin is sin, and we are all in need of that forgiveness. But I want you to notice today that forgiveness comes in two dimensions. First of all, there's the vertical forgiveness that we require, where we come to God and we acknowledge and we agree with Him that we indeed are sinners, and God grants to us judicial and cleansing forgiveness. Judicial, it's a once-off event, and in cleansing is what takes place every day thereafter. But there's also a horizontal level. Notice what the text says. Forgive us our trespasses as what? As we forgive those who trespass against us. You see, the forgiveness of others is the other half of the deal. It's the other side of the coin. Matthew 18, Jesus is incredibly graphic in his description of what this looks like. He tells a parable. It's an amazing parable. He talks about a king who was owed a lot of money by a guy. He dragged the guy who owed him money into his presence and told the soldiers to send him to jail. And the man pleaded for his life, and he said, "Oh, king, who's going to look after my kids? Who's going to look after my family? King, won't you forgive me my debt?" And his debt was enormous. And the king looked with pity upon him, and he forgave him his debt, and he let it go completely free. The people in the court were amazed at the kindness of the king. And then as this man walked out across the street, one of the people who had been in the presence and heard the king make this speech saw the same man who'd just been forgiven an enormous debt throttling the throat of a man who owed him a mere few rand. And he's confused. And he goes back to the king, and the king says, "Why are you looking so confused?" And he says, "Oh, king, I have just seen the strangest of things. That man who you've just forgiven a whole ton of money, he's just outside the door here throttling somebody who owes him just a few rand." The king is very unhappy. He freaks out. He says, "Go and get that man, and we're going to put him in jail until he pays us back every cent." Now we're going to look at this, and is Jesus that intentional about our forgiveness being lined with the forgiveness of others? Well, I think he's trying to make a very strong point. Let me suggest to you over the course of the next couple of days that there are really four categories or four actions associated with forgiveness. The first action associated with forgiveness is we've got to learn to forgive and forget. If we're going to forgive the way that God forgives and He forgets, then that's a high order. But that's what we're told to do. As Jesus has forgiven you, now you got to go and forgive others. And I was looking through the scriptures, and I found some amazingly beautiful verses, and using different terminology to describe the wonder of what forgiveness is about. In Isaiah 53 verse 6, it's defined as, "He has taken away the iniquity of us all, and He has laid it on Him," that is Jesus. He's taken away our sin. The next thing we read in Psalm 83 verse 2 is, He has covered our sins. It says, you have covered all of their sins. And then thirdly, it says, He has blotted out all our sins. That would insinuate that He's not going to go back and try and find it again. He's blotted out our sins. And then the best part of that verse is what I want to tell you about. He says, and I will remember them no more. Man, if God forgives us like that, He says, now you got to forgive others the same way. Now that's not easy. Forgiveness has to be, as you will see the next couple of days, one of the toughest and yet most courageous things that you could ever do. And forgiveness, you must know, is good for you. Now you're saying, how do I forgive and forget? I have a memory. I don't have a delete button in my brain. Well, what he's really trying to say is when we forgive and we forget, the forgetfulness part is about forgetting the pain associated with that. And you will know you are doing that when you can go to bed and at 2 o'clock in the morning you're not thinking about how you're going to get your own back. You'll know that you've forgiven and forgotten when you can greet that person and you can address them and treat them with dignity and respect. You don't have to always like them, but you just have to forgive and forget the pain associated with that thing. If you're lying in bed and you're scheming their downfall, if you're lying in bed and waiting for something to happen to them so that you can rub your hands in glee, if you're lying in bed at night and thinking, man, I can't wait for the truth to be revealed, then you have not forgiven and you certainly have not forgotten. So the first lesson we have to do, if we're going to do it the way that Jesus did it, we have to blot that sin from our emotional record, not your memory, because your memory is always going to be there, but from your emotional record of the pain that was associated with that which you have to forgive. I know it's tough, but think about that, will you? Have a fantastic day, and whenever you have to measure yourself in the realm of these vitally important things, don't look for a human being. Look to Jesus. He's the model for everything that we're talking about right now. Have a fantastic day. Cheers, guys. See you tomorrow.